Today's recipes are hearty, rustic, easy, and super delicious. Hey guys, Kira here from 50 Shades of Mom, tips for all shades of mom life. And in today's video, I am back to share with you 3 delicious recipes from Every Plate. Now, Every Plate is currently not taking new customers right now. With all of this COVID-19, they have just increased their volume. So they're currently not taking any new customers, but that's not really a big deal because why not just live vicariously through me? I get one of these Every Plate boxes every single week and use these meals for lunches within my family. The best thing about these recipes is that they're so easily recreatable because all of their ingredients are common ingredients that most people have inside of their home anyways, or while you're doing your essential shopping that you could easily pick up. They're also super customizable to the size of your family. So I get the box that only has 2 serving sizes in there, but it's super easy to just double or triple the recipe that you're cooking or that I'm showing you guys so that you can accommodate different sizes of your family. But I continue to fall in love with them every single time that I use them because they're so super inexpensive and their recipes, again, are not hard to follow, and all of their ingredients are something that I always have in my home. So I've been recreating their recipes over and over again. So today I want to take you through 3 recipes that I thoroughly enjoyed. These were done over the week of St. Patrick's Day. So that's actually a shepherd's pie that you're looking at, which really honed in perfectly to the theme of that particular week. But the only thing I can describe to you guys about this box is rustic. Everything that I chose was it just screamed fall. This recipe was a chicken legs and root veggie sheet pan bake. It had roasted apples with a honey Dijon sauce, and this just really screams everything that I love. I love dark meat, and I love like carrots and potatoes and apple and all that stuff roasted in the oven, and honey Dijon is just my thing. So I really loved this recipe, and for what you'll need is chicken legs, you'll need some potatoes, you'll need some apples, some carrots. Again, I'm going to pluralize this just in case you want to enlarge this for a different size family. You'll need some red onion, some honey, some Dijon mustard, and some thyme. That fresh thyme was the elevation that took this plate to like that really rustic feel. Thyme is a main ingredient in a lot of things during Thanksgiving time. So that's kind of the feel that I got. So I went ahead and prepped everything, washed all of our veggies. I diced our potatoes to like decent sized chunks. I thinly sliced our red onion. That roasted up so delicious. Took all of the thyme off their little sticks. I coin sized the carrots and then thinly sliced those apples. And I took the 2 chicken legs out, threw them on a sheet pan, and patted them dry with a paper towel. And now we're just going to go ahead and add all of our veggies and that fruit, that apple. What a game changer that apple is roasting with everything else. And so once I had everything on the sheet pan, I just drizzled it with olive oil, with salt and pepper. Salt and pepper is big for Every Plate. They literally want you to salt and pepper at every step. And then we added that fresh thyme. Not all of it, like 3/4 of it. We left a little bit to top at the end, but I just gave everything a good toss with my hands, and then I laid the chicken on a bed of those veggies. I really wanted it all to kind of congeal together when it was cooking. That was not necessarily a suggestion of Every Plate. They just said put it all on a sheet pan and bake it in the oven. And you guys, holy cow, how all of this stuff just cooked up so well together. I would have never thought to put apple with those things all together, but when I plated it and I took all of that juice that was at the bottom from the natural sweetness of those veggies and then the olive oil and the thyme, and it just that carrots and the onions, it just complemented each other so well. I was just immediately exported to the month of November when you really just start wanting all of those kinds of flavors, and it just gave me like that craving for Thanksgiving. It was so delicious. And then we came to the next recipe that again had that complete rustic feel, and this is a skillet apple pork chop. I love finding new ways to cook up a pork chops. My husband's like a shake and bake in the oven kind of guy, and that's not really my thing. So this was really cool to just find another way to make something that would be really good with pork. The sides on this were sweet potatoes and zucchini, which nobody else in the house is really keen on, but that's definitely my thing. So in this recipe, you're going to need sweet potatoes, some apple, some garlic, some lemon, the pork chops that they supply, some zucchini, and then chicken stock concentrate. And they always tell you at the bottom the things that you need to supply from home, which is usually simple, common ingredients. This particular time, it's vegetable oil, butter, and sugar. But that's really it. And now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to get our produce and stuff ready. So first we're going to take the butter that we need to supply from home. I stuck it in a microwavable dish and threw it in the microwave for 30 seconds and got it melted. And we're going to make that like Dijon sauce that we're going to pour over the veggies before that we put it into the oven. So this is the honey, the Dijon mustard, and the melted butter. And we're just going to give that a good stir. What a combination of flavor. Their Dijon mustard is very powerful, but when you went ahead and added the honey and the butter, it was ridiculously delectable. So I cubed up all the sweet potato. I did half moons on that zucchini, thin sliced the apple, quartered our lemon, and then diced up the garlic. So the prep work for this was super easy. And the first step beyond our prep work is now getting our sweet potatoes in the oven. Sweet potatoes are a very hard potato, so we need to get that into the oven to start their roasting process. Every plate always recommends that you do a roasting process at 450 degrees, which I have to admit really does get a good char, but you just do need to watch. I feel like I have a tendency to overcook some of their meals because they cook on such high temperature, and then I'm always constantly distracted by children, and then I don't watch it. But I gave it a little olive oil and salt and pepper and threw them in the oven, and then I got our pork chops in the skillet. So that just required a little bit of olive oil and then salt and pepper on both sides, medium to high heat, just paying attention to them. You want to make sure that they cook all the way through, and you want to have that good crisp on the outside, but again, you don't want to burn them. I have a habit of burning everything because I'm always all over the place and not paying attention. So I also threw in on another sheet pan our zucchini. They needed to cook for less amounts of time. So I did the same thing, oil, salt, and pepper, threw them in the oven. And then I threw some butter in that skillet that we cooked those pork chops in, salt and peppered the butter and the apples, and then added the garlic. Never would I have ever put apples like in a pan like that if I wasn't doing something quote unquote like sweet with it. And this was just mind blowing to me. I added the other Dijon mustard and then water, and it deglazed that bottom of the pan and brought up all the bits and the flavor from that pork. And once we reduced all the water down, we added some more butter and some of that lemon juice, and it just, the contrast of flavors again is mind-blowing. I'm really impressed, and I would love to meet the people who are coming up with these recipes because they really are so good. And this was a day where the kids were eating lunch and Daryl was home, so I made like a big community plate for just him and I to pick on for lunch, especially since I said he's not really big on zucchini and the sweet potatoes, but he was down with those pork and the apples. So I probably had like 3/4 of a pork chop. He ate 1 1/4, and then I pretty much housed those roasted vegetables. But again, it was a really another kind of rustic meal, and I really was all about finding more recipes that I can cook with pork chops. I recently just did that oven freezer meal collab with Vanessa, and I did the pork chops with that orange marmalade, and that was so good. I had someone write me and say that they tried chicken thighs, I think that they tried with the marmalade, and they said it was great. Like, I really, really love trying to find those contrasts of flavors, especially with pork. So that apples with the honey and the Dijon, they were, again, just a great complement of flavors. And that is something I will absolutely make again and again. And our very last meal is that shepherd's pie that I talked about in the beginning. And like I mentioned to you guys, this was filmed over the week of our St. Patrick's Day. It was our very first week of quarantine, which I have to say I really liked the feel of the rustic meals because it gave me those fall feels. And that's exactly what it felt like when we first started that first week of quarantine. It felt like it was winter, like we were all just staying in cozy clothes and not leaving. And shepherd's pie is one of my husband's favorite things, and I actually had it on the menu for dinner anyway for that week, but this was a steak shepherd's pie, and I thought that was a nice twist on something other than the way that we do it, because we do it with ground beef. And again, these are super common ingredients that you guys can recreate this at home because most people have these ingredients. So we needed potatoes for the mashed potatoes. We needed some carrots, again, some fresh thyme, which just screams that rustic feel. We needed some onion, some sour cream, that's beef broth stock concentrate, and then their diced beef steak. And I've mentioned this a few times too, as far as the quality of their meats. Their stuff is so good. What we'll need from home is vegetable oil, flour, and butter. But what I was saying about their meat is they have the best bacon. Their ground beef is super flavorful. I just feel like they give you good quality products. I don't feel like the produce is ever bad. I feel like the meat is always super good. But we're just going to go ahead and start by putting our potatoes in a pot with some water and getting them boiling. Again, we need to make mashed potatoes. And then in a skillet with some olive oil, we're going to go ahead and put that steak in. It was really nice. Like I said, quality steak, just kind of broke up into these little bitty pieces, which was definitely a different take on doing shepherd's pie with that. I think my husband really enjoyed that, and I might try that another time myself in the flavors that I do it. This had a totally different feel. I feel like mine takes the barbecue feel, where this was more like a very hearty, I don't know, I couldn't explain it. It was just very different. That thyme, that rustic flavor was totally different than more of the sweet barbecue element that I go with. But you're just going to cook that till it's completely done with some olive oil, salt, and pepper. And then once you've finished and you put that off to the side on a paper towel to drain, in that very same pan, you're going to throw in your diced onions and your diced carrots. And then once our potatoes are done cooking, it wants you to reserve 1 cup of that potato water, and then leave your potatoes off to the side. So now once we've got our onions and our carrots all sweated down, we're going to add in the thyme. I gave it another dose of salt and pepper, gave everything a good mix. And then now we're going to add in that flour that they wanted you to throw in. And we're going to begin to start making a roux and a gravy. I really liked the way that they did this with making the flour stick to all the veggies first. I'm always really bad about doing gravy that doesn't have clumps. So this really worked out as a way to make everything so smooth. Now they wanted you to use that potato water as a way to mix in your mashed potatoes. I used milk. You guys are going to see that in a second. And instead of using plain water, I used that potato water to mix inside of this mixture. So I kind of just changed their recipe up a little bit, but I added in their beef stock, and you could see right away that it's really just starting to thicken up, especially since we used that water that had the starch in it from the potatoes. And then once you get a good like creamy consistency to your gravy, you're just going to go ahead and mix your steak in and mix it all up, and then that's it. We're going to put that off to the side, and we're going to begin to do our mashed potatoes. So again, this wanted you to use the potato water as your liquid. I don't know, my mama taught me how to make mashed potatoes a little bit different. So I did throw in the amount of butter that they wanted you to, although I love super buttery mashed potatoes. And then you were supposed to put sour cream in there. That's what that little sour cream packet is for, which I do think that adding sour cream to mashed potatoes does an amazing thing for the texture. It definitely gives a nice flavor and, like I said, a nice creaminess to your potatoes. But you just saw I threw in milk. I really wasn't about using that. And I love a really creamy potato. It didn't say to use the hand blender, but I really love potatoes that are creamy with just a slight little chunk, and you can see in the picture that that's how it came out. And I just plated that beef. This is only one portion, so we got 2 full portions like that. I ate 1 and Daryl ate 1, and it came out just so good. Again, a totally different feel to the one that I normally make, but not something that we wouldn't eat. Definitely something that we would have again, but I think that my husband seems to like mine just a tiny bit better, that sweetness and the tanginess of what I add to mine. So I think I might do it again with the steak, but this was super easy and it took no time at all, and we had a heck of a lot shorter time than it takes me to make my shepherd's pie. I bake it in the oven with cheese on top and stuff. So again, super easy, and a way for me to give my husband that shepherd's pie feel without taking all the time of being in the kitchen and making a whole big thing. But that is it for this time's video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. I'll be sure to let you guys know when Every Plate is taking new customers, so if you want to give them a try, you can, and with my link, your first box only becomes $10. So I'll make sure to let you guys know once they're back up and running. But for right now, again, I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you guys all so much, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye, guys.